yesterday as well, losing to Prismatic. So certainly END Gaming, they have had a bit of a knock themselves as well. And let's not forget, the winner of this match does go on to face Prismatic in our match next time. And already, as soon as I heard Miller say the map is bordered, I thought, well, and what have you done?
Yeah, we talked about it on our broadcast for the first Empire game, which was interesting to say the least. Vodafone
a weird one.
And Empire, and we said, you know what? Empire really liked Border and Oregon. And I said I didn't have the ban sheet in front of me, but I thought the first two bans coming out of their opponents would have been, Vodafone would have been Border and Oregon. So I'm interested to see that Border has made it all the way through in a best-of-1 series. It's the last possible map, and it's our decider. The ban's pretty standard. We don't see a Lion again for Empire, but pretty normal ban. I don't see anything too crazy here. A Clash still in play, Maverick still in play. Empire were favoring banning Ying and then opt not to ban it, so some changes here on the bans, but I don't know if END are particularly a Ying team.
Looking at it, END, like, their bans are very, very standard. That kind of plays in what Empire wants, because Empire doesn't like the glass either, and they do not like playing against the mirror. We've seen that against against Vodafone on Consulate, where we did see Vodafone, they played quite a hefty amount of glass. Empire not so much, so certainly that ban, getting rid of that, is going to be a good one, as Glass was a very big impact operator inside of that map for Vodafone Giants, which did hinder the Team Empire defense just that little bit more. Lion, of course, always is going to get banned. Lion and Glass, I believe, are the two most picked or most banned operators in the entirety of any Pro League currently. Mira, of course, also being up there. And yeah, touching upon Clash, bit of a weird one to be let through, but nonetheless, Echo could also do some damage. So it's kind of, do you want to ban Clash or do you want to ban Echo? And in this circumstance, it will be Echo getting the can.
Interesting that END were sporting a Maverick early on, but then 6-pick off of it. I think Border is a map where you could probably get away with a few Maverick plays here and there. I mean, it has yet to be fully discovered to its entirety, so I'm sure there's plenty of spots I can't even think of off the top of my head right now, but I think Maverick probably would have been a good call, because Empire, like you said, they play a standard game. They play a very, we want to turn this into a gunfight more than a strategic battle game plan, and Maverick can throw things off with that.
Maverick on this particular map doesn't do a whole lot for me, in my opinion. Sure, he's good at getting rid of the armory wall, which would be the main place that you typically see him, but everywhere else, he does kind of like have a bit of a lackluster to him, where on the downstairs defense, doesn't really do a whole lot. On the bathroom tailors, doesn't really do a whole lot. On the customs, doesn't really do a lot either. So it's not a big impact operator as if he would be. For example, Clubhouse is always a big map for Maverick. So I do agree that, yeah, we let Maverick through, but he's not really going to do a whole lot. And END Gaming, they're not even going to be taking the Maverick. Instead, it's just very standard Thatcher Thermite. This is, I'm pretty sure, the exact same lineup that Team Empire usually take in their attacks as well.
Yeah, almost right down to the single operator, but they take a Sledge instead of a Thatcher, at least that we saw on Consulate. Armory wall get opened up by Torek as he'll back off to safety and let the rest of his teammates engage. Elation holding top east stair, spraying through towards Joystick, but unable to land that headshot to the prone peak hole. Joystick's going to rip back down east and try and stay alive a little bit longer, just to have some more impact and throw END awry on their plans to make their entry into the objective, just be a nuisance in the back end.
Still no frags for either side at the moment. You can see the END are just holding their angles, trying to bait out some of these rotations that Empire may want to perform, but really Border isn't one that you would have these crazy flank maneuvers. Sure, Joystick, because it's Joystick and we know how strong he can be on that Jaeger. He may start his approach momentarily. He's going to see the Thatcher grenade thrown out. Does he see the Thatcher? He does, gets it down and picks up the kill as well, but automatically the refrag from Elation will be performed and Joystick will bite the dust.
So 4v4, 60 seconds tick down for END to complete their push, and it seems like they're wavering on their initial setup. They looked like they were lined up to go for an AWOL take, and now they've gone for a rotation over towards offices and archives. And Scyther was spotting out a couple people with the evil eyes on the rotation. He also had a punch hole in towards the main hallway. Torek is going to take down Shock. It's the Bandit off the board, so not the end of the world at this point. You still have the Smoke, the Clash, and the Maestro. This is a good lineup here for Empire to survive the 3v5, or 3v4.
Karzeka still has all of those toxic babes ready to be expended to try and slow down this push from END, but they have got the crossfire set up. Cypher's going to take the first advantage and does manage to eliminate Peak, but Hunter has the crossfires, will come up against Shepard on that clash, as Torek will be the man to pick up that diffuser and go for the next plant. Still in hands of END Gaming. Hunter has the perfect position to slow down everything that Team Empire may want to try and perform. Shepard picks up one, but the defenders, they will actually manage to win as Elation just went for the Hail Mary push and managed to stop the plant. And I don't even know how that happened, but Empire take the lead.
It was a Hail Mary, like you said, thrown all the way in the back of the end zone, and it works out. I mean, the cover from, I think it was Elation on the Hibana inside of Fountain, just not sufficient, not holding the proper angle to make sure no one could cut across. Hunter, as well as the Ash, playing a metal detector, not landing the shots after Clash swapped the shield to the backside to pull out the machine pistol. I mean, those are your typical angles. I know Hunter got distracted by the secondary peak of the Smoke, but at the same time, hold the most dangerous opponent coming at you, and at that moment it was, they can shoot the guy planting the diffuser and there are 3 seconds left on the board. We need to stop that from happening, and just a failure to hold the angle properly for END, and they sacrifice a round that looked like it was going to go their way.
Just that one simple mistake broke the crutch for END Gaming, and Empire, they do take the lead, which typically on their defense we do expect Empire to perform a lot better, because then you have Joystick fragging on that Jaeger. Equally, he can do the same on Ash, but looking at the way he played in Consulate, certainly Jaeger was his most favorite operator to get them kills. We'll see if they can perform a little bit better this time, as END, they will be gearing up, and they do take that Maverick that we did discuss, which again I'm not a big fan of. I don't think he does a whole lot in terms of what Border provides as a whole, but we'll see if they can make it work. Of course, you can drill in those holes right through that armory and then try and eliminate this upstairs hole that Empire will try and perform. Of course, those castle barricades always make it a lot easier for the defenders to sit back and relax and just wait until we see where END Gaming really decide to push from. Seems to be it might be from the office, with Sloppy pushing in by himself to use that blue torch, which is essentially quiet, very, very quiet in most circumstances, where it really does catch the defenders by surprise unless you're really up close and personal with it. So we could see this split push really go in a good effect for END Gaming against the Empire defense.
I got to be very wary of Joystick. Like you talked about, his maneuverability and lethality on Consulate was unmatched. He was a wrecking machine, just devastating the attack of Vodafone earlier on. It was their defenses, and in the end that fell apart, or their attack, sorry, that fell apart. And Elation taking a few shots at Joystick. They go back and forth and pretty much level out the health, traded off of each other, just a little over 75 apiece. Not the end of the world to lose a Hibana, but if your Thermite is also in peril at the same time, then you're sacrificing both breachers and a potential loss of man, or even just a trade out. You don't want to be losing that utility very early on.
Located by attackers.
So still a good chunk of time for END Gaming to establish this top floor domination, as they will start to use at least one Thermite charge to open up and in towards that Archives area. Still a couple of members lurking for Empire, one of them, more importantly, being Joystick. It's going to be the main man to kill. It's kind of that mentality that I'm sure END Gaming have, is if we eliminate him, we have a substantial advantage leading into the second half of the round, as Joystick does take a little bit of fire, but nothing really that he has to worry about, as END Gaming are pushing extremely hard. Hunter pushing in from the back of the Archives, trying to find an angle, but Joystick, he will pick himself up. Elation just trying to drop down through the hatch. Karzeka did play a very aggressive top of the server, but instead has decided to fall back with the rest of his teammates. They have given up control of the top floor, but the damage has been done by Joystick, and he's still on the loose.
Rotated all the way downstairs into bathroom, and it feels like Joystick has a horseshoe where the sun doesn't shine right now. He's getting away from crossfires and multiple peaks and engagements through walls. Scyther will take down Sloppy as well, so a two-man advantage now for Empires. You have double stacked inside of ventilation. It's Karzeka and Scyther both firing out towards the front door and the ventilation window. Lots of shots towards Peak, but Joystick will end Hunter's reign as well. So Peak, and just a poor decision to try and drop the hatch alone. You're losing Diffuser inside. It's over. Scyther's going to wrap it up, and just a bad attacking round for END.
After that initial kill that Joystick did perform, it really put END at the back foot. They didn't know what to do. They still thought Joystick was alive and upstairs. They had to take even more time to drone that out whenever they finally realized, hold on a minute, he's gone. You're down to 40 seconds left, and then you start panicking, and whenever players start to panic inside of this game, everything just goes out the window that they know. Basics leave, gun skill gets whiffed, and then that's where it's so easy for Empire to pick up the pieces and make the jigsaw to win themselves around.
That was... I get that you're down 2v4 at that point, but oh man, what a bad decision from Torek to drop that workshop hatch alone. He's got no one else. He's dropping into multiple bodies on a crossfire. Why? You had Diffuser too. I mean, even if Peak was able to make it back inside the building without dying, he didn't have Diffuser. He couldn't go anywhere other than back into workshop into the gulag to try and make his way back. It would have been an insurmountable task.
We will move on to our first custom defense of the match. This is a bomb site which has been used a couple of times. It is a lot harder to defend this particular bomb site without the use of a mirror, so that's typically why we see teams refer to the bathroom and tellers more often than the customs. Mostly because once you control that security hatch as an attacker, you win the round from that point on, because the players of the defense can no longer sit inside of that B bomb site, and then the A bomb site is already a bit of a death trap to even attempt to play in, because you have all these soft walls that you can get wall bang through, you have the detention that can get opened. You really need to anchor down heavy on that top floor and try and waste as much time as you can. If you get a couple of picks, that's a bonus, and whenever you have players who can scatter themselves in towards that security room behind the security desk, that's a really ideal position for Joystick to play. Very awkward for the attackers to deal with, but he is instead going to be played over towards that armory as a more of aggressive roamer who can take use of the potential flank maneuvers, and Karzeka for the first time will take an Ela who can equally do damage in these close range environments with that Scorpion Evo.
I like the depth of operators we're seeing from Empire this time around. On their game on console and against Vodafone, they were so rigid. They refused to swap up their op lineups. It was the same 5 operators on attack, and then I think a total of 7 operators got used on defense interchangeably. I'm liking that I'm seeing Empire really swap things up and take a new operator every round to continue to throw a mystery book at END.
Even END are doing the same. They have switched in the Maverick and the Buck from the previous Ash and Thatcher that we've seen inside the first round. Of course, Maverick, we know he can be strong on that detention wall, and Buck, well, Buck kind of speaks for himself on a map like Border, which is extremely destructible. He can really open up a lot of sight lines. You can potentially, a bit of a risky one, but you could repel inside of that lobby and open up that entire quad wall, look straight into the heart of security, and you can really nullify that complete upstairs hold that Team Empire are going to try and establish. And they already are in a bit of an aggressive position. Look where Hunter is. You would more than likely try and find a Buck kind of upstairs using that skeleton key to the best of his advantage, but no, it will be very aggressive. He's going to try and take out the skeleton key to try and pump the Doc, but no, he will get the better of him as Karzeka also eliminates Sloppy. So a 4 versus 3 in favor of Team Empire, and it will be down to Peak, Elation, and Torek to try and get this round for their team.
A minute left, and END are just now starting to engage with the defender's topside. Peak is going to take down Karzeka. As I say that, Joystick trying to go for the re-engagement onto Elation and Peak. He's going to be looking the wrong way. No, he anticipates Elation coming from top east stairs, removes him from play. It's all up to Peak and Torek now, and Torek's made it into the objective again. No cover, and now he's all alone as he's trying to complete the plant in the back of Customs. Peak will fall at the hands of Shepard's SMG-11. The plant gets completed. We're going to know exactly where it is as he backs off to Passport, standing on top of the desk to try and change the elevation and the angle, but falls off. There's a Claymore at the doorway, taking a lot of damage as Scyther as well. Joystick will end Torek's reign, and that'll be a 3-0 lead for Empire on Border.
This is certainly the Team Empire that we are used to seeing every single week inside of the Challenger League. It's the reason why they're first place inside of that league, which also END Gaming, they're also inside of the Challenger League. We haven't actually seen END Gaming or Empire play inside of the play days. That was because Team Empire had to forfeit the match against END Gaming. This is a little bit of retribution for Team Empire to, kind of get in there and show END what we would have done to you if we actually did play you.
You got to think that's their only loss in the season so far. And the way this is going paints a very troubling picture for how that game would have gone if it had
They play next Monday against each other inside that league as well.
Ooh. Maybe a little bit of a rivalry going on here being built up through EU Challenger League and now the Euro Cup here in Milan. I
still think ENCE versus Empire is more the kind of rivalry. But, you know, END are there. I would say at this stage, nearly every team is kind of fighting for survival as END and Empire have just walked away with the league in both of their back pockets. It just has to see who will actually steal that first place position at the end of the season. Still all to play for inside Challenger League, but still all to play for inside of the Euro Cup, where END, they're trying to get themselves back into this position, because at the moment Empire, they are in the car, they have the keys, and END, they are screaming for help in the boot of the car. Or trunk, as you Americans may say as well.
I am not American. Do not ever say that.
North American, how about that? We'll say North American.
There you go. Empire with a commanding 3-0 lead in the driver's seat. And Shepard pulling out the Clash once again. And I mean, let's be honest, Empire probably shouldn't have won the round they did to start things off in Armory. And I don't think Shepard's Clash, I mean, I like the bait out play on Consulate earlier on against Vodafone. Shepard's Clash play this time around was just non-existent. Like, he wasn't engaging with anyone, because Clash is such a time waster and a utility dumpster for everyone to just throw time and utility out on the attacking side into a Clash to try and get rid of her. Shepard, on the other hand, just was not engaging with anyone.
Looking at that Consulate game, we've seen that him and Joystick had a very good combination where Clash would push on up, gain all that intel, and then Jaeger would simply clean up house from that stage, as we know how good Joystick is, and he's still proving it inside this matchup is still going to be the guy that END need to kill before they do anything, because he is so good on those rotations and so good on those flanks that you just cannot stop him. Whenever he builds up that morale and that momentum, devastating for, I would say, any team to go against.
Gotta think as Hunter will remove Shock from play. I think Border is probably the hardest map to do that as well on for Joystick, to be able to maneuver with ease. You see all the windows and the alleyways and every single possible flank hole. There's only 2 staircases you can get back upstairs with, but Joystick still somehow makes it happen. And again, losing the Bandit early, not the end of the world for Empire, unless possibly he was rocking a C4, in which you lose that lethality at range, but everything else is pretty much already placed down.
So just under half the round still to go. Torek, he will get END in a better position as well as Joystick. He will finally fall to the hands of an END player. They have opened up the wall, so they have their main beachhead established. It's just a matter of fact, can they go for the execution and actually win a round for a change, as they are in the better position. Shepard's still alive with that Clash, but like you did point out, hasn't really done a whole lot with it. Karzeka can provide to be pretty useful in this position, especially if Shepard can relay all of that information. You can never forget about that Maestro holding all those long angles with the Alda and the ACOG, but already he has taken a hefty amount of damage from that peak from Elation.
Trying to go in for the quick plant right up against the reinforced wall. The smoke will travel through the wall. Whether or not you think that's fair, it's what's going to happen right now. But another kill for Elation as Scyther will finally fall. 35 seconds left and a 5v2 advantage. You already have pressure in from Elation, but he'll fall immediately to Karzeka. He's going to launch the smoke canister in, and Karzeka's going to finish off Torek as well at range. It's now a 2v3 for Shepard and Karzeka to work their way out of. 20 seconds. Peak has reacquired the diffuser, and then are battling up against the wall right now. Hunter trying to use the skeleton key, but Peak is going for a full rotation, and Sloppy has pushed up the metal detector. Shepard getting in the face. Karzeka going to drop Sloppy as well. Down to the 2v2. Can they complete the comeback? Karzeka drops Peak. It's all up to Hunter, and he falls. Karzeka! I think that was an ace.
That was an ace clutch, to be more specific. Empire pulling out all the stops. END Gaming had that in the palm of their hand, and Empire blew it away. Literally stole that round away from END Gaming. Everything went right. They killed Joystick. They had the beachhead. They had a minute to go, but just Karzeka, insane gun skill. You have to commend Shepard for all of the intel he has relayed to the smoke. But wow, 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 what a round from Empire. And END Gaming are just staring down a brick wall that they cannot beat.
Going through the motions now, our Empire just seemingly unstoppable. We saw them The word we used was fallible against Vodafone. This is not a fallible team right now for
Complete opposite.
Empire are running the table right now, up 4-0. Their last defensive stand on Border, lest we head to overtime. And really just need to put something up on the board. They go into the other half on a pretty even map when it comes to attacker or defender sided like Border. Down 5-0. I mean, unless it's the comeback of a century, it's over.
We'll have to see how END will continue their reign currently inside of this matchup. They will opt for a ventilation room and workshop at defense, so more than likely it will be that same top floor control that we've seen from them previously inside of the second round of this matchup, where you typically have Joystick and also KarZeka playing very aggressive, trying to delay the end game and attack as much as they can. We'll see if END can really turn things around and potentially at least get a round on the board to give themselves that little bit of hope leading into that halftime switch. If they let Empire go 5-0 up, and we still know how deadly Empire can be on the attack, equally as well they're doing on the defense, then that's a bit of a cause for caution for END to think about, and we could see a tactical pause still come out from END.
Attack pause still available for both sides. If maybe Empire wanted to utilize it. We've seen that from teams at various lands where they're up significantly and want to take attack pause to make sure everyone isn't getting carried away and reorganize themselves, especially heading into the second half. Either side, honestly, would be fine to take attack pause after this round. And if you're end gaming and you're down 5-0, I don't see why you don't stop the bleeding at least and stop the clock momentarily.
Still a good bit of time for END to go. They've already established that position inside of security and also inside of the archives, where Hunter is getting very aggressive. Is going to be joined by Torek to actually open up that archive, start trying to find their way an angle in towards that armory, where we of course know that Joystick and KarZeka will be playing. KarZeka may be looking to challenge Hunter at this stage, but they are in a good position. Bit of a split push coming in. Finally, Elation will take out Joystick. Big kill as the man who's ruined this END team actually gets ruined by Elation in that circumstance. Still a good bit of time to go for END gaming. They have the semi-top 4 control. Still unsure if anybody's lurking inside of that cupboard, where typically there would be, but KarZeka has decided to drop down and rotate. Shockwave also inside of customs to try and cut off any potential rotate in towards that main stairs area. Very, very strong position for an offsite anchor. And this is where Hunter can go prime time and open up every single angle that he could, but instead he's going to go for the peak, and he gets punished for that, as Cypher will get that kill with that long angle, using the MP5 Egghog to the best of his advantage. Elation, however, will refrag onto KarZeka, so it does still end up in END Gaming's favor leading into the final minute.
Looking down through the hatches, a 4v3 advantage, now a 4v2 is a great pre-fire from Sloppy. We'll remove Scyther from play. Shock, though, going to trade out Elation. That was the severely injured Hibana from earlier on. Still a man advantage here for END, but we saw that just last round all evaporate in front of them, disintegrate in their hands. Shock on a bit of a flank as he was playing over in stock. Ping's coming out onto Shepard, who's now taking up the smoke roll deep inside of Workshop, and END are poised to go for a plant inside of ventilation. Flashbangs being sent in to possibly clear any ADSs while Peak holds at the front door. It's going to be Shockwave who's going to need to go for the flank as more flashbangs come in and blind Shepard. The plant being attempted as Sloppy's made it all the way in through the server door. Shock right beside him as he's laying prone. Will level man count. He's got one outside the front door and one in ventilation. It's Peak that'll shut down Shock. So Shepard in a 1v2. Torek one shot. Anything will end him. Holding off the smokes towards the front door. Torek laying a drone in wait at the front door ventilation. They're playing it safe and do not want to get aggressive, as they've already seen what happens when you peek the SMG-11 last round. Backed up against the window, trying to fake the defuse. Baiting out Torek to peek and try and bring it down to a 1v1. No one on END playing this slow, although Peak will fall now to the shotgun. Shepard's going to jump out and try and launch the shotgun blast. Not going to run up, and he's running out of time. Shepard's going to have to try and close this out. Torek needs to go in and go for the peek. He's pre-firing and missing the angle, but finally on the vaulted with the hip fire, Torek will save END's round as it almost again disappeared in front of them. They stopped the bleeding. It's a 4-1 ball game.
there was a little bit inside me that thought it's going to happen again.
Oh, it was so close. I would love to see Shepard's POV on that one to see where the bar was at.
That was extremely close. You have to give credit to END. They held their angles. They had that patience that they really needed to see themselves out and through to at least get themselves a round, and doesn't put Empire to that match point as the Italian crowd, they're starting to get into it and work their way into, just like John did say, that 6th man for END, and they certainly do need that at the moment as things just aren't going well. But we do have their defense coming up, but then equally the attack from Empire is always going to be scary, and they will stick Joystick, the man to watch, on the ever so aggressive Ash.
On Consulate, their attacks were iffy. Not really, not the greatest attacking round from, or attacking side from Empire on Consulate against Vodafone Giants. But here against END, I mean, all it takes is 2. You've put yourself in such a good position on the defensive side and almost coming away with the perfect 5-0. This is almost insurmountable for END to come back from right now. And if they pull it off, I mean, all hats off to them, but it's going to take a significant miscalculation by Empire in a number of rounds to blow this lead. Like, you play this standard and all you need is 2 out of 5. The odds are so highly in your favor, you don't even have to try.
Also about the attacks, I know you touched upon, they were a little bit lackluster inside of Consulate, but this is Border, a completely different map with a completely different attacking playstyle. This is why I said Empire were really scary on maps like Oregon and like Border, because there are that run and gun mentality where you get the kills, you get the refrags, and Empire are very proficient at doing that. It's just, can they execute it well enough, which puts END Gaming in, you know, a very awkward position where they could potentially go 5-1 up. If END Gaming just make one mistake, that will be the punish, that will be game, set and match, and that will send END Gaming not home, because they already are home, but just out of the tournament nonetheless.
Joystick opening up trip wall inside of Office, and the flashbang's not getting caught by the ADS at his feet. However interesting, it will momentarily blind the defender playing inside, and moving straight in is Joystick, trying to go for the slow peek around the corner, and a perfect shot onto Hunter, and just no reaction there. Joystick, almost unstoppable as Elation will finally get the refrag in, as there were 2 stacked inside of Fountain. Elation will go for the rotate downstairs. The Ash dispatched of, but still a very menacing lineup for the rest of Empire to rock with, and lots of utility, as you're only losing an Ash out of that, and you're taking down a Jaeger.
The question is, who's going to step up to be then that main fragger for Empire? They've lost their, you know, kind of solo carry in the form of Joystick. So will it be a player like Shockwave, who has also done very, very good currently for his team, especially on the Habana? He has been very deadly with that Type 89. Torek, he is going to be playing inside of Armory, so the kind of final defense for that Armory side, which then does keep ENDs and their flanks open. So he needs to stay alive as long as he can. Elation as well in these very close range circumstances should perform well with the Scorpion. Korzeka does manage to find Sloppy and eliminates him, but Shockwave and Korzeka on extremely low health. Torek, we said about him in that long angle, will manage to get the kill onto Shepard, and Korzeka, he will refrag onto Elation, but Shock has also been down in the circumstance. Cypher manages to find Peak, who just stupidly peeks into the line of sight, and it will be down to Torek leading into the final 50 seconds.
Checking his evil eyes to try and grab any intel. Shockwave is down at radio desk inside of Office right now, and Scyther is going to be attempting to go for the revive as Korzeka is attempting the flank. He's going to take down the evil eye with a sledgehammer and go for a wide peek. 20 HP, so it won't take much for Torek to take him down, but he's not even paying attention currently, and he's distracted by the engagement on the opposite side where Scyther will end Torek. It's END with their backs against the wall now. 5-1 game in favor of Empire. It's almost over for them unless they can string something together. I like the attempt of keeping Fountain maneuverable to walk back and forth with the impact nades at back Fountain and into Cubby and CCTV, just not effective at holding it very long.
That works a lot better with a Mira. We know that, where the Mira window and Fountain would have stopped the Jaeger dying from Joystick just very easily, walking in, taking what he wants. Did get killed, but did the damage that he needed to get his team on the good advantage. We'll see how END will kind of get themselves back into it, because at the moment they are just out of it. You can see in, you know, some of the player cameras morale's down, there's no hype about that, and they will decide to use their tactical pause. Empire still has theirs, but and they will try and use it this final last-ditch effort to get themselves somehow back into the game, but it is very, very unlikely with the way that Team Empire are playing, which is so fierce.
See at the bottom of your score, the ticker moving from right to left, and the score. Empire up 5-1 on Border, and they look like a runaway train. They look like there's not a lot that can be done on END's part to stop them. It's multiple bomb sites, it's gunfights, it's flanking position, it's teamwork, it is everything. Every single box you could possibly tick off, and END are just getting outmatched in every single way by Empire. Yeah,
this is Empire in a nutshell. This is the domination that they've shown throughout every single league they've played. May it be the Russian league, where really don't have a lot of competition for themselves, but certainly even in Challenger League, which is supposed to be, you know, that step just below Pro League. They are running away with that. They managed to beat ENCE, who were the big favourites when you know the history of ENCE, and they managed to take down that team. What an accomplishment for them, and they are certainly looking to be geared up to, after that little bit of a hiccup, get themselves back on the horse, quite literally, with Team Empire, and see if they can lead the charge and make their way in through to tomorrow's matches.
So, I commended Empire's flexibility on defense when it comes to op lineups, but we're not seeing a lot of variability here on attack, although you're 1-for-1 right now, taking the same lineup against the same objective. Doesn't really hurt you all that much. I don't think END are going to be going for that same impact strategy. Like you said, it works so much better with a mirror to be played inside a CCTV to look towards radio desk window. Yeah, that kind of setup really is not your most favorable option when you have a mirror band against you on defense.
Let's see if they opt for it again, which I do believe they will, as Torek will use that bailiff to create these rotation holes. So another aggressive position that END are going to try and take up and catch Empire by surprise. But at this stage, Empire's already seen this. They've seen the book that END are trying to read, and they have completely countered that to all effectiveness. A couple of Valkyrie cameras could come into pretty big effect as you give them intel, and especially for Empire, and for the most part, they don't care about if they get tagged. They still push in very recklessly, like Empire always do with that aggressive mentality. They will try and take up arms towards that east balcony and push their way in through that office and archives, just like they did last time. B-bomb site's looking pretty scarce at the moment for Endgame, and there may be something that they have to look into, and if Empire capitalize on a quick B-rush, that could be all done for END.
Saw it last time as well. Joystick was the first man on the engagement to open up trip wall and start aggressing in towards offices. And Hunter this time not going to be playing beside Sandwich. He's all the way up on the bookshelves inside of archives and will drop off. Sorry, no, that's Elation. There is the Jaeger of Hunter inside of offices, and he gets dispatched so quickly. And again, the trade outcomes peak with a nasty shot with the MPX. Not a favorable weapon to win out with, but again, you lose the Jaeger for the Ash, and now Shockwave trades out Elation. Beautiful setup here so far for Empire.
Pretty much the exact same way it went last time, and have not changed anything about the way they're playing. Joystick simply just walked on in, killed the Jaeger. Shockwave gets the refrag, so it does keep Empire in that strong position. Almost did bite the dust to that C4, down to about 2 HP at this stage. Sloppy still has control of the break room, and that's a very devastating angle if Shock would manage to stand up, but Karzeka will be there protecting, and Torek, he's going to have to play pretty big again, but he's also getting tagged up from that angle that Karzeka was holding. So still a little over a minute to go for the players of END to try and hold out as much as they can, and I don't really get why Peak's trying to aggressively peek Shepard, and you get punished for that. Exactly the same thing that Peak did last time. Tried to play aggressive, gets punished, and it comes down to Torek and Sloppy to try and salvage something from this.
Two incredibly injured attackers, and one of the full health attackers of Karzeka will fall as the sledge. Peeking in, now Torek's going to level man count onto Scyther. Both remaining attackers on very low HP. Great advantage here, but Shock with a great pre-fire onto Torek. Now it's all up to Sloppy. He's made it way back to A. A great pre-fire again through this Hibana hole. We're trading shots back and forth, and bodies continue to fall. But now it's Shepard against Sloppy in the 1v1 out on AC, and Shepard's going to play it safe. It's at the window, so Sloppy could tuck in and try a sticking of the defuse. Going to launch out an impact nade. If there was a Claymore setup, that would not have destroyed it. And now tucking in the window is going to bait it out, and he's able to down and take down Shepard. The 2v4 comeback for END, and they will live on.
The health point was not in favor of Team Empire in that stage. You've seen how weak Shockwave was, you've seen how weak Shepard was as well. Sloppy even himself was extremely weak. He could have died very easily to a couple of shots from that L8. So yeah, END Gaming very, very lucky to come away with that round, which almost seemed to be Empire taking that matchup game set and match, but no, END Gaming, they at least keep themselves in for a little while longer, but really, for how long? Another round potentially?
It's a rough position to be in, and now they can't go to Armory Lockers and Archives, the only site they've won on defense, as they've only attempted 2 rounds. They're 1 for 2 on that objective, and they'll head to the only objective we have not seen yet today on Border, Bathroom Tellers. That's also an interesting decision, but it's END who are getting extremely aggressive, and the Valkyrie play, it's been hit or miss so far.
And better have something extremely good to show us if they want to try and go for a Bathroom Tellers against a player like Joystick on that Ash, who can just walk on in and kill your guys inside office, which of course is going to be that main area that the players of END want to try and deny, because if you give up control of the office, it leads to all the destructibility that Karzeka can use with that sledgehammer. It is a wooden floor, also has a drop hatch straight into that Tellers area as well, so it's kind of the same way that you would play Ventilation Room and Workshop, where it's all about defending right above the bomb site, just like we see from other maps with the top-down verticality, which is so important that you have to deny. Exact same principle. We'll see how they set up. They brought the castle, actually, I thought they brought the castle barricades, but they believe that they didn't. Instead, it will be that Maestro coming in once again. So Maestro is going to provide that intel that potentially they need for Office. But looking at Empire, they have plenty of ways to deal with that. They have the soft destruction from at least 3 potential players there. Also, Shepard, he will be picking up the Dokkaebi for the first time. This is, I believe, the first Dokkaebi that we've seen all day.
We saw one, I believe, from Empire in the first game against Vodafone, but you're right, it's been a very limited
we
operator.
did one time, that was it.
Very limited operator today. Well, I mean, you lose the SMG-12's God recoil, and now it's replaced by recoil that paints pictures around people. Karzeka starting things off onto Sloppy. It's a great start for Empire once again, as Joystick with multiple drones in front of him is going to be trying to clear the top side of offices. Stuck in the corner now, but a great shot. They'll trade. How does that happen? The R4 and the MPX going back and forth, the trade, but it still leaves Empire in the man advantage of 4v3, and again, you've only lost an Ash. Karzeka attacks on to peek. The phone call's coming out, locked in on metal stairs, and Torek down on the objective. Shock is going to eliminate Elation. It's all up to Torek now in a 1v4, leaving out towards Workshop. He's got nowhere to go, playing below a breached hatch. The second set of phone calls will detonate, and now dropping into the objective. Shock going to be planting directly on a soft wall, a precarious position to be in. Torek trying to pre-fire as he makes his way around the main lobby desk, but there's nowhere to go. Plant gets completed, and this is pretty much goodbye END. And on their home turf, it's not going to go well as he's down to 2 HP. Shepard's going to clean it with the Mark 14. Team Empire move on in the losers bracket to the losers bracket semifinals.
I seen what END tried to perform. They tried to play a lot more up close and personal and aggressive, but Empire ready for it. Punish, punish, punish. The limbs came off from the body of END, and from that stage, all there was left was the Maestro, and he was never winning that any day of the week in that position. And of course, Team Empire, they're a bit of the villains here in this story in the home crowd, but certainly nonetheless, Team Empire continue this reign of terror. And END Gaming, well, this is the end of the road for them, and they will be eliminated on home turf. We'll see how Team Empire will continue, who are going to be playing right after this against Prismatic.
Both Italian teams dispatched of, not going incredibly deep into the tournament, unfortunately for them, but Empire move on, and this is more of what we expected to see from Empire as well. This is the kind of Empire we thought we were going to see against Vodafone, and to be honest, if it wasn't for a lackluster game and a poor banning against Vodafone, it could be Penta against Empire in the winner bracket final tomorrow instead of Vodafone against Penta, and Empire with their backs against the wall having to consistently claw back. This is a good performance, but they're going to have to do it right away next game against Prismatic.